It is August 4th, 2026. This is Start With Safety. I'm Don Wojciechowski. We're here at the Utah Safety Council in Sandy. Did I get all that right? Right? Okay. I'm here to open up the month of August, but before we get to August, I hope everybody had a safe and cool July. Safe celebrations over the Independence Day, the big 250-year anniversary for America. Pioneer Day on the 24th. It's been so hot, so many fires. So hopefully everybody out there has been able to stay safe and avoid the fires, that is. Now, August is a big safety month. So just to highlight a few, all month long is National Traffic Awareness Month, which is especially, it should be on everybody's minds. Kids start going to school in how many days, Freddie? 10 days? Something like that. Yeah, they're coming up. So drive safe, stay alert. Look out for the kiddies, or the children, or the young adults as they go to school, and share the road. It is also National Immunization Awareness Month. Clinton, do you have your flu shot?
No, not yet, but I'll get it probably.
Okay. And it's also National Eye Exam Month, which I would recommend, as we roll into the football season, I would recommend any referee to have that done. Maybe a few in the World Cup need an eye exam too, but nothing.
No.
They're falling flat this morning. JP would have appreciated that, but it's National Wellness Month, so prioritize getting your physical, go to the doctor, and then attend our workplace mental health safety class coming up that Yvette's going to talk about here in a minute. I also want to point out that on August 17th is National Profits Day. So just want to thank our board members, instructors, and partners, and all the staff of the Utah Safety Council that make a difference every day. Then on August 26th is National Women's Equality Day. So I want to thank all the women at the Utah Safety Council. You still have to come to work on the 26th, but I want to recognize their achievements and contributions and things that they do to make Utah safe. So thank you very much. And with that, and I wrote this morning, I'm going to photobuy everybody here. The Utah Safety Council, every month together, we can prevent injuries, protect lives, and build strong communities. Okay, with that, we're going to invite up Karen Kidiona, our esteemed workplace safety manager, covering all things MSHA and occupational, and she's going to give us the lowdown on August. Thank you.
All righty, thank you, sir. Good morning, people, great people of the Beehive State.
Good morning.
How are you today? All right, awesome. So today, my part is we're going to talk about benefits. Benefits to our valued members. Members meaning those of you who have been members of the Great Utah Safety Council for years. If you have just entered the door into our membership, welcome. And we also would like to invite those who were members before to come back. Please come back into the fold. We will help you along the way. So as valued members, your company receives access to exclusive training benefits, right? And those are including OSE, or Occupational Safety Essentials, and we have a class this Friday, August 7th. So mark your calendars. Send your people to that free OSE class this Friday. You'll find that on our website, right? Another benefit to you is the OSHA 10 General Industry class that usually takes over a day and a half here at our office. So please ask us about OSHA 10. Then we have our first aid CPR AED, which is also a benefit to our members. Ask us about that, and we can place your people in that class. Then we also have Women in Safety, monthly social events that you're welcome to be part of. And so we have our QR code here. You can scan this to get more information into our free benefits to all our members. It's a great way to strengthen your team's knowledge, right? improve workplace safety, and maximize the value of your membership. So come on down to the Price is Right and utilize your membership benefits with us. Okay, next we have our workplace safety scholarship. If you haven't been updated on this, this is really good. If you have a company that has 250 employees or fewer, you are qualified to apply for workplace safety. So what you do is you look for the training that you need, ask us about the workplace safety, then it is applied up to 50% off the cost of your training. That's a savings to you, right? We also would like to invite those single users that would like to take our advanced safety certificate journey, but can't afford the 6,000 something cost for the training. This is a good way to utilize that. And after you get your advanced safety certificate, you are nationally known. Your name gets added to the database in National Safety Council. And so that certification is good for you. It's an added measure to your resume, and it does good for the workplace. So ask us about workplace safety scholarship. We're very grateful to the Department of Labor Commission for awarding us this every year. And so there's money here, there's funds that we want to use and give it to you. So please call us 801-746-SAFE, extension 304, ask for Karen to tell you more about the benefits in the workplace safety scholarship. And that's my part. Next, we'll have Yvette Stephanie, who will talk to you about our mental health classes. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My job here today is to remind you that we now hold our mental health first aid courses here at the Utah Safety Council. We have partnered with Recovery Friendly Workplace. Our great instructor, Scott Martin, has been here 3 times now, so still new course. We are trying to get more people in here. Our next one is August 13th from 8 to 4:30. The difference with this course coming up in August is this is an in-person 1-day course. This started out as a 2-day course. We've condensed it now to the 1-day course to accommodate, our people, right? You guys can't take more than 1 day off. We understand. So we're trying to work with you. Please register. This is a super important course for everyone in the workforce. We believe in mental health first aid, and we hope that all of you will be part of the change. So yeah, register. If you have questions, I am here today. You can ask any of our staff about this course. We are going to start holding these monthly moving forward. Next, I do want to remind you guys our annual meeting and award ceremony is September 24th. We have closed nominations for our awards. However, we are still accepting the merit award nominations. Please, guys, if you guys are one of those people that either forgot or have just come back from vacation, we completely understand. Submit your merit and honor award nominations. So we hope to see you there September 24th. We are currently announcing our award recipients this week, so you will be hearing from us. We will be calling you. We might even show up at your workplace. Who knows? If you submitted a nomination, you're bound to hear from us. But yes, please register. We would love to see you. Now for our main event of today's webinar, I am going to introduce our 2 guest speakers from the Mexican Consulate, starting with Alfredo Laguna. He is a graduate of the University of Utah's David Eccles School of Business with a degree in business. Alfredo serves on the protection team at the Consulate of Mexico, promoting and defending the rights and well-being of the Mexican community in Utah with a focus on legal, labor, immigration, criminal, and family matters. Our second speaker today is Maria Ruiz. She holds a bachelor's degree in international relations, University of Mexico, and is currently pursuing a diploma in U.S. family and immigration law. Since joining the Mexican Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 2016, Maria has served in various roles at the Consulate of Mexico in Salt Lake City. She previously led the Community Affairs Department, overseeing programs in health, education, and financial empowerment, and now serves as the Consulate's protection team, helping protect and support the Mexican community of Utah. Please welcome our guest speakers today.
And yeah, so thank you to everyone at the Utah Safety Council for having us today and giving us this opportunity to share and connect with your community. So this is Maria and my colleague Freddie. And we both work for the Council of Mexico in Salt Lake City, Utah. Actually, I just know. That's it.
Yeah, the Consulate of Utah, Consulate of Mexico in Utah is one of the oldest consulates in the US. We came here in 1911, so it's quite old. A lot of people don't know that. But yeah, we've been established for a while.
Yeah, we have been here for more than a century. And yeah.
So our consulate, there's over 50 different consulates in the US. Our consulate covers a specific area. All of Utah, plus the western part of Wyoming. So they kind of cut it in half. On the western side is what we cover for Wyoming and all of Utah. We cover any Mexican citizen within the area. We cover all the detention centers, all the jails that are in the area as well. So it's a pretty good sized area that we cover.
Right. And today we are going to share with you guys the services, what we do at the Protection Department. And I know, and I always say that most people are more familiar with the documentation department because, you know, we can get our passport, Mexican passport, and birth certificates and consular fees, you know. However, the consulate has more areas, you know, and there is a community affairs department or outreach department, the cultural affairs department area, and the protection department. So we are one of 4 departments within the consulate. And as with the protection department, our main purpose is to protect, promote, and defend Mexican citizens, human rights, and interests. Yes, so to achieve that goal, we assist Mexican nationals within legal guidance in the following areas. You know, we share with them advice about their labor rights, also in the immigration field, administrative area. As I already said, they know their human rights and everything related to trafficking, human and labor trafficking, and also criminal, everything related to assist people who have been, you know, like convicted or committed a criminal offense, you know, and especially in this, I'm gonna say, adverse immigration context. So we work on that area a lot every day. And something that I wanted to mention is that, you know, there are more than 50 consulates across the US. So every consulate has legal advice program. So Mexican nationals can come, you know, it doesn't matter if they are not, they don't live or reside in Utah, they can go to the closest, you know, consulate.
So there are many things that we do cover. As you notice, we cover everything from labor all the way to criminal situations. We don't act like lawyers, not actually representing them in court, but we do give counsel and guidance, and we work with either lawyers or we work with different organizations to try to go ahead and get these things going for the people that we're trying to serve. Other things that the protection team does, and this is not everything, but this is a vast a good amount of the information that we can do. For example, we do visit the ICE detainees. We do visit all the jails as well and interview them. If there's something that we can help with, as far as with their human rights or immigration status or situations where they may actually feel that they're not being protected, and that's when we can step in and request and work with the jail, certain, if they're not getting their medicine or if they're being mistreated or if there's anything going on, we can go ahead and try to step in and represent them that way. And obviously, if they qualify for some type of help as far as immigration, that's one of the things that we do have lawyers to help us with. And we do directly have lawyers that we can work with and pay for, so they can go ahead and represent their rights. As far as, let's see, trying to make sure I don't miss on something there. Yeah, we work with the families as well if they are incarcerated as well, so that they may have an idea of what's going on. We do follow up in minor custody processes as well. For example, some of the families that end up being deported, their kids are citizens here. All of a sudden, the families are separated, and there's no income, there's no person to actually take care of them, so the state comes in. So there are times that we have to step in and try to make sure that both the parents' rights and the children's rights are actually being represented if they are citizens as well. We do help with situations where there is people that end up dying, whether it be at work or at home, etc. We do have a program that allows us to go out and work with funeral homes here, and we do we work with them so they can go ahead and find a better way to go ahead and pay for the funeral or for the transportation of other family member back to Mexico. It's not cheap, as you know. It's something that's very expensive, especially in a situation where it's unexpected, whether it be something that happens at work, or whether it be a heart attack, or any other situations that may occur. We do go ahead and try to help with that. Short-term situation or hardship, we do go ahead and help them with some type of monetary economic help. So therefore, I can go ahead and try to get over that hump, especially in situations where it's unexpected. And we do go ahead and help with repatriation. In other words, send some people back, whether it be because we've had situations where the person has been injured and no longer they can actually work here. They want to go back home, but for whatever reason it may be, after we interview them, we find a way to go ahead and help them get back to Mexico. Whether it be patients or whether it be people that are trying to just go back because of the current situation that's happening in the U.S. We can go ahead and try to see if there's something we can do for them. But yes, as far as victims of different cases, we do find a lot of abuse, whether it be by employers, whether it be by husbands or wives, or so we do go ahead and ask many questions to try to go ahead and figure out if they can go ahead and qualify for U visas, T visas, VAWAs, etc. Which are the actual type of visas that victims can receive from the government, so they can go ahead and stay here in the U.S. Anyways, there's a lot of things that we can cover.
Yes, and today we are going to share with you everything that we do, in the labor field. Let's get started with the labor issues. Yes, that's one of my favorite phrases. All the time I say that no matter what is your immigration status, nationality, you have rights. We have rights. And talking about labor rights, people should know, that we have the right to receive our salary on time for the number of hours worked. And also the employer should provide a clean and safe workplace. And in case you know that they don't provide safe tools and the right equipment to perform, correctly the activity at work, so they can call OSHA. And also, it's very important that they know that they have to provide any, like any information, any names, and in case of accidents at work, if they get injured or get sick, so they have the right to receive compensation. And that happens. Sometimes people have asked like things like, oh, so what do you do when you get information about discrimination situations at work? So we tell people and inform them that they can, like go and seek help, from one of these entities. So, and so in case, that someone is suffering from discrimination, violence, sexual harassment, so they can call and they don't have to provide, again, any information about them. So nobody's going to call you back. They are going to perform an investigation and determine, if something wrong is happening at the workplace.
So there's many issues that happen, just like Maria was saying. People don't, for example, people that come over from Mexico, the labor culture over there is quite different than over here, for example. So one of the things that happens is that they believe that they have no rights as much as they should, whether they have papers or not. They stay quiet, and that's when we notice the issues coming up in the community. For example, one of the problems that we run into is that people are not getting paid for the services rendered. For example, they don't do a contract, or they're not an employee, they end up being hired as a contractor. A contractor of a contractor, and all of a sudden they do all the work and they spend all the money. And lo and behold, when they ask for the payment, they say, well, I never had a contract, or I'm not gonna pay you. And all of a sudden, the actual workers and his employees end up not having actual income. And when they try to fight it, now they have to go, months before they actually get something done, if they're able to do so. As far as the employee being afraid to come forward due to the threat of losing their job or getting in trouble with immigration, that's a common thing that people will go ahead and throw out. It's like, well, I'm not going to pay you. And if you continue this, I'm going to go ahead and call immigration on you. So they step back and they're like, well, I guess I'm just going to try something else. So that's a common thing that happens. A lot of workers continuously end up getting paid late. At the same time, they can't really, they're afraid to ask, hey, why am I not getting paid on time? Can I get paid? Can I get paid? We had a situation where the actual employees went for 4 months without actually getting paid, which obviously, if they're coming here to earn money to send for their families, imagine not having any income for food for yourself, but now imagine your kids back home not having any type of income for that amount of time. It just blows my mind. Employees becoming accustomed to the abuse, so it's better to have a job than to go hungry. The same people I just talked about, they actually went for 4 years coming back to the same employer, even though they received mental abuse, physical abuse, economic abuse. I mean, it was quite interesting how they put up with everything, because they said it's better to have a job than nothing at all. And the other things, lack of resources and educational information for undocumented workers or for people that speak Spanish only. It's hard to actually find the guidance since they don't know exactly where to look, or they don't get the opportunity. So it becomes harder and harder.
And other things that we let our citizens know, and actually, I always say everybody should know, So that companies, must keep workplace free from recognized hazards, including, extreme heat and cold stress, which sometimes actually we have known about cases, and that they suffer from serious harm or even death, So, and also it doesn't matter if they don't have document or even if there is not a contract. So there are, state health and safety guidelines that urge employers to provide cold drinking water, accessible rest areas, and shade during, especially, during high heat conditions. And here in Utah, we have extreme weather sometimes, so that's very important that they note. And also that they have the right to complain without retaliation, So, and in case that happens, they can call, local authorities to get help and be guided to, to get that situation improved. And also, employers must have a plan to spot signs of heat, illness, or cold exposure, and be prepared to provide, immediate medical help in case of any emergency at work, and also you can, if you would like to know more about those guidelines and everything that you can use, in your benefit, if you are in one of those situations, you can go to the Labor Commission. Actually, at the consulate, we have the forms, and we can provide sometimes those forms and guide people how to fill it out. So we are there to help.
So one of the things that I used to do prior to joining the protection team was actually visiting the farms, the dairy farmers, any type of agricultural worker within the state of Utah. One of the main problems that we continued to see was the actual work abuse that they got. For example, they would be out in 100-degree weather, working for hours without getting breaks. Their bathroom was way back at the, couple of miles away back at their home. No shade anywhere. The only thing that they had was a bottle of water. We encourage a lot the training. There used to be, like, for example, right now there's one group in Ogden that goes out and tries to offer employers the opportunity to train their workers concerning, pesticides, for example, heat exhaustion, how to actually notice a heat stroke, what's the difference between the two. Because a lot of the things that most people won't go in there unless the employer can go ahead and guide them and tell them what to look out for, because their employees are the ones that are doing the job. And in the 100-degree weather, it's very, very easy for you to go ahead and go under, whether it be with heat exhaustion, as far as, and there's some things that are similar. For example, with heat exhaustion, or heat stroke, there will be nausea and vomiting on both of them. But they can go ahead and be different because one of them has a throbbing headache, the other one has body temperature that's high. While the other one, you'll be, cool, you'll be pale, clammy hands as far as with heat exhaustion. But noticing the little things, the things that come with the training, and that's one of the things that unfortunately is lacking. There's not enough of it out in the workers, whether it be landscaping, whether it be actually, working on the framing of a house, etc. A lot of people just go in there and start working because that's what they're supposed to do, without really knowing what could actually happen if they don't take care of themselves. This is something that I really feel is extremely important seeing the, the deaths that have occurred and the situations where things that could be avoided by us just paying attention to little things like this.
And now let's talk a little more about visa workers, especially the H2A workers. And as many people may know, they are temporary or seasonal workers that come to the US, through a visa and to work, at the agricultural sector and also under a contract. And most of them, we find them working, for crop production, livestock, forestry in some cases, and other activities, especially dairy farms and those kind of activities. And here, in this year, already found that almost 1,968 H2A workers, come to Utah to work one of those activities. And they work, it varies between orchard, activities as orchard workers, crop workers, nursery, sheep herders, and in different places, across the state, Duchesne, Santa Fe, Park City, Genola, Green River, Delta, Ogden. So we find those H2A workers, visa workers in that areas, and they come here mainly, I would say, throughout the entire year now, but we have found that it mainly from January to October. And yes, like employers, companies, get those workers through a whole process, and they need to provide them, they are hired under a contract. So that document should contain all the stuff related with wages, specific wages. They provide also living quarters, and they should work, in places, safe places, and with proper working conditions. So, and I would say that I have heard that some people think that only undocumented, workers suffer, at work, are abused. But no, I would say that we have found that even when they have documents as H2A or H2B, yes, so they face a lot of challenges, once they arrive in Utah. So we have a lot to do.
So, with the H2A workers, they are decreasing. For example, the past couple of years, we had over more than 1,000, close to 2,000. At one point, it was up to close to about 2,800 people. So this year was actually a lot smaller than in other years. I'm not sure exactly the reason why the demand changed so much from one year to the other. Yet, although I may have ideas of what may have happened, the main fact is that the labor force is changing a bit here in Utah. H2A workers' common issues, poor working and living conditions. They're supposed to be, Workforce Services goes and inspects each home to ensure that it's up to par and that they have proper living quarters, that it's clean, that there's no issues with it for the amount of people that are trying to put in there. Fortunately, a lot of problems come after the inspection is done. As far as living conditions, we've seen houses infested with rats, latrines not working, floods of the actual the switch, for example, doors that don't close. I mean, there's extreme things happening there. Lack of training, pesticide safety and emergency situations is one thing that we run into. Less access to healthcare or emergency help. For example, the gentleman that's on the photo there, with his permission, he works with sheep. He was out on the mountain, fell from his horse. He called his boss because he actually broke his clavicle. His shoulder was injured. He had a concussion. He was able to call his boss, and he didn't get help for about 4 days until his employer actually showed up and took him to the emergency. And sure enough, the guy was suffering. Labor abuse, including lack of pay, being assigned to other types of work that's not in their contract, and obviously being overworked. Labor trafficking, they are brought to the U.S. with a specific promise on a contract that they sign over the embassy of the U.S. in Mexico, for example. When they show up here, all of a sudden they change the contract on them, and instead of being Spanish, it's in English, and instead of being paid $17 or $18 an hour, now they're being paid $8 or $11 an hour. And they don't know the difference because they don't read English anymore. So that's common, unfortunately. H2A program, it's a great program. I personally have my feelings about it. But for example, it ties the employee to the employer in a situation where as soon as the employer cuts ties with you, you no longer have a valid visa. You have a certain amount of time that you have to leave the country, but it's very hard to actually switch jobs because your visa is tied to one employer only. That's where the opportunity for abuse increases a lot because it's one step away from servitude. Mental abuse, physical abuse, it goes unreported due to the threats of loss of employment in the future as well. Example, I'll tell you, if you complain right now, that won't give you the job next year when you try to apply again. And they'll put you on the blacklist. So threats like that. Less rights compared to other states. State of Utah, for example, is behind on the rights of compared to other states. For example, Colorado has mandatory breaks when it's more than 85 degrees, especially if it's over 95 or 90 degrees. You have more breaks. You have to have shade and water within 1/4 of a mile from where you're at. In other words, they're treated a lot more carefully. And on top of that, they even get overtime pay in agriculture, which is something that's actually not federally backed. In federal work, for example, if you work in agriculture, you cannot receive any type of overtime pay, no matter how many hours you work. However, Colorado and I believe Illinois have actually escaped that. Now they're paying overtime for their agricultural workers. Yeah, so this is only some of the things that are going on, the problems that they have.
Yes, and also we have very little H2B, like I said, visa workers that are under a contract, and come here to work on non-agricultural areas, and the number is higher. So in this year we have more than 3,000 H2B visa workers in Utah working, the type of jobs can be landscaping, forestry, and logging, traveling carnivals and amusement parks, also meat and fish processing, hospitality roles, and construction labor. I would say the last one is the main area, right? The main market. Yeah. So most of them are working for as construction workers, and they are they work full time, and their work is temporary here in Utah. So, and one thing I don't know if we have already mentioned. Yeah, you said about that. Even we have found that they come here without knowing, what was, like written in their contract, because they didn't, like they didn't get even an English version, so, and they have the right to get one in their own language, so.
And with H2B, common issues as well as poor working conditions, changes on their contract once they arrive. Has been mentioned before. With H2B workers, the employer does not have to pay for their housing. In H2A, they do. H2B, they don't. However, what we found in the state of Utah is as soon as they arrive here, they're given another contract that it's mandatory to have a rental agreement. So now they are tied further into the company and they're paying back the company, as far as their housing. And they are told, if you don't sign the agreement to rent from us, and we're not gonna give you the job. Although they've flown all the way over here and they spent their money to actually come to the US. So the main thing that they end up doing is signing a contract. Now, we've had situations where we've had actual H2B workers. We have 14 people in a 2-apartment home. And each one of them is getting paid or is getting charged $750 a month, which I don't have to really go into that, but I think you can imagine that's a little more than what it should be. When they get here, they're unsure of their worker rights as well, common verbal and abusive tendencies. They go unreported because of the same reasons we talked about before. It's common for them to be overworked, and a lot of times their full contract is not honored. Their contract normally details that they have to go at least they're guaranteed 3/4 of their job. A lot of times they end up, if they have problems with this employee because they're voicing their rights, they end up sending them home. Although the actual contract tells them that they're supposed to be sent back by the employers, them buying the ticket, as well. Actually, the contract's supposed to guarantee them the 3/4 of their income before that contract. So there's a lot of things that go on with H2B workers as well. Any questions? Yes.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm trying not to cry here, but
Sorry.
so my question is it possible that you can provide us with a list of employers who are providing employment to these people?
I do have the list. I will have to go ahead and figure out if we can give access to others on that. If not, I can go ahead and point you the right direction on other organizations that are able to pull that information. Mainly,
It is public.
yeah, it is public. USAjobs.gov. The only problem with it is that you have to go one by one.
Yes.
There's a report of organizations that are able to pull the information directly, like just a couple of clicks. And that's how I was able to go out and find that. But for sure, we can go ahead and talk right after. Yeah.
Does the Division of Workforce Services, what's their role? When I've applied for these type of jobs, they say submitted to a Department of Workforce Services manager. And then I guess they assemble packets to give to employers. Tell me more about how you said USAjobs.gov. How does Utah play a role in the hiring of these H2A and H2B workers?
Well, Workforce Services is there's a couple of things that they have to do. First, the employer has to go ahead and they have to put out a job listing in the US to ensure that no jobs are not being offered here. As soon as they do that, then they're able to apply further into opening into the job to worldwide. Mainly it's focused on certain countries. For example, we've had South Africa, we have Mexico, Guatemala, Peru. Not every country has access to that. However, Workforce Services will go out and receive the petition that they fill online. Once they receive it, they'll go over it, they'll go and verify information on it. Once they see that the order is legit or that it actually fulfills the grounds for it. For example, if they listed their job in the US and they haven't received any type of applications, then at that point they can go ahead and check, okay, they did this. What type of work is it? It's, dairy farms, okay. They'll check that it's actually a dairy farm. There's a couple of things that they go through, obviously, on the form. It's a little more, there's a couple more things that they need to go ahead and fulfill on it. Once Workforce Services receives it, they do go over the information, make sure it's legit, and they go ahead and contact the employer, and they have to list on the application the address where they're gonna go ahead and call people, if it's H-2A workers, for example. And the inspection gets done by Workforce Services in Utah. Other states have OSHA that actually inspects them, while Utah will have Workforce Services. There's a specific branch of them that will go out within Utah to inspect, and they have to meet the safety and the housing rules that the state of Utah follows. As they do that, we depend on them to go out and fulfill all of those roles. I'm not the one that actually inspects it, so I don't know what leeway they have within it. However, once they go ahead and do that, they'll go ahead and check off that, yes, this is well for the 5 people you're bringing, or 10 people, whatever the case may be, and they'll go ahead and fulfill the order and approve it. So it's a small little process, but it does take a little bit of time. That's mainly how Workforce Services does it.
What's the process timeline from start to finish about?
It's supposed to be a couple of months. We prefer that the further you go into the year, for example, you apply there in March or April, we've seen applications be delayed up to about 4 months later, which by that time your season's practically over.
So
Yes.
a question for that specific subject. Do they go visit just the one time to check those boxes, or do they go again during their stay? How many times do they visit, just to say that they are doing, that job, checking on them?
Great question. Officially, the one inspection at the beginning of the year is the one that Workforce Services does. The person that does the inspections will go once in a while to go and talk to the employees, and see how they're doing. They have a couple of people that will go ahead and do that. Keep in mind, though, that their department is very small, and at the same point, they cover the whole state. As far as surprise visits, the Department of Labor is supposed to go ahead and visit. For example, sheep workers. They will go ahead and visit and make sure that they're being taken care of. I'm using this as an example. Their housing is quite small, and sometimes they are taken to the desert or up to the mountains for months without seeing people. So it's important for them to go ahead and check their house to make sure that they got what they need, cooking, exposure issues, etc. They do that once a year as well, but they are only required to visit one employer once every 3 years. So hence, you may be good 1 year, but the next 2 years, you may do whatever you want with the housing of the person.
Thank you.
Are there any consequences for employers that violate the contracts or labor rights, like in Workforce Services, put them on prohibit them from hiring H-2A or B workers?
Yes, if the actual situation comes to light, it's a bigger issue. They may lose that opportunity to apply. For how long, if you say that, unfortunately, that was never told to us. That's not an answer that they provided. However, what we do know, depending on the crime, is what eventually may come. For example, physical, mental, labor trafficking may actually get state charges as well as federal charges. yeah, each case is taken one by one, depending on the situation. But yes, there can be repercussions. Yes.
So, being the Mexican Consulate Labor Rights Office, right? Where do you come in all of this? Like, I'm assuming, do these workers come to you? Do you have like a monthly quarter thing that happens to invite everyone to come in? I guess I'm looking for opportunity where we're already partners, right?
Right.
But to be better at what we can do, opportunities we can help in with, these people. I'm already thinking of ways to approach it from the programs I manage, right? How can I place Utah Safety Council to reach the workforce people, right? Maybe go through the companies that employ them. We have like a quarterly thing where we have like a basic safety series for bilingual, There's, we can find instructors that speak Spanish and we can set something, I don't know, all kinds of ideas are coming in my head, but I guess my question is, we'll come through you and where are you at in that whole picture?
We just want to be a resource for the
Yeah.
Spanish speaking community.
So, it brings a huge smile to my face, literally, it's the ideas that you brought up are incredible. In reality, we found that a lot of people will use their phone at the end of the night or at the end of the day, and we'll get a lot of information from there. The amount of questions that we get at the consulate have increased because of the things that they see on TikTok or Instagram or things like that. Some things are completely off, obviously, but some of the great things about those or social media is the fact that we can reach the people that are hard to actually get. For example, the ones working in the field, it's hard for them to drive somewhere because they don't own the car. And their job is mainly from the farm over to the house and back and forth all day long. But at home, they normally have access to a phone and taking courses, learning things like that is incredible. The Consulate tries to get the word out within the community. We have, I believe, beginning of September, we do have a labor week as well that we're gonna go ahead and put together. We still working on some of the information that they're requesting. We work with as many associations or communities as we can outside of, just the consulate itself so that we can get the word out. It's recently, because of the situation within the US, it's harder to get people to come to places because of, they're afraid that something will show up or immigration or ICE or whatever. And that fear is seen everywhere, unfortunately. But if it's something that benefits them, they will go and take the chance.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey.
I had a question. You're one consulate among many. How many other consulates are in Utah? Are you aware of?
In Utah, there's El Salvador. There's a Peruvian consulate. Yeah, the one from Colombia is in Colorado, and they come twice a year in South Salt Lake.
That's my local.
Yeah, so they do documents mainly, but it's the South Salt Lake offices off of State Street, right in front of the jeweler or I forgot the name of that place. They did the medals for the Olympics back here in Utah. I forgot what the name is. But, yeah, they're the offices right on State Street, about 17 South or so, I think it's.
Somewhere.
Yeah, they're there. So besides that, those are the main consulates that are here. Yeah.
Do you work with them?
We try to. Obviously, they're all they have their own goals and things like that. But we do try to communicate with them when we can.
Thank you.
All right.
And thank you.
All right, well,
thank you again, Maria and Freddie, for coming out and talking about this really important topic and educating us, as well as just being a great resource for the Spanish-speaking community as a whole. So to put a bow on this month's Start with Safety, we're going to welcome you guys to our next month, which is on September 2nd, 10 a.m., same place, same time. Talking about National Preparedness Month with our instructor, Doug Handy. So we hope to see you guys there. And again, it'll be a good time just like today was. You can also stay connected with us on our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, all of the above, right? So keep up with all the cool and fun, exciting things we have going on here. But other than that, stay safe and we'll see you guys next time.
Hey, thank you.